Bob, what do you mean no? This is our anti-aging show. I don't like squash. Who wrote the squash? Bob, the show tonight is the benefit of butternut squash. No, I don't like squash. I'd rather play squash. Okay, Bob. I don't know what to say, but the show's going to start. I'd rather you gummies. I was on the internet the other day, and I was looking at the gummies. Bob, gummies, do you know what's in them? No, but they taste good. You can't have gummies. You don't even know what's in them. Gummies for gummies. Here we go. I don't... Yeah, I think the show's starting. Welcome. Welcome to the Bob and Al Anti-Aging Show. Passion, purpose, and great information. So tonight we're going to talk about food. Specifically the benefits of butternut squash. Like that one? Yeah, I think you can push it aside now, Bob. No, I kind of like leaning on it. Okay. It's an anti-aging show. You got to do what you got to do. So we're going to talk about food, butternut squash specifically, but we're also going to talk about what affects the food. Our thoughts, the quality of the food, the chemicals in the food, and also a special guest from Bob Brown is going to give us information, maybe a little video to watch. I like Bob. Yeah, I do too. That's where we get our food from. It's natural and organic, and way better than gummies. Well, we're also going to talk about the effects of food from our thoughts. Thoughts make a difference. So we're going to talk about those three things key today. The benefits of butternut squash is in the form of an editorial. What's an editorial? Well, I'm glad you asked. An editorial is primary purpose is to entertain with good content and educate the public. It also includes the opinions of the host and hostess. Hoster. So, that would be us. You're a wise old man. How old are you? 92. And I'm a retired medical salesman. I traveled the world with medical sales and also did a lot of alternative wellness and nutrition. And now I'm a caregiver. Semi-retired, but I love caregiving. Yeah, good thing. So we want to understand in these editorial moments that if it's good information and you absorb it, you truly become walking, talking, living editorials. Yeah, with gray hair. I prefer to call them enlightened hair fibers. Yeah, me too. Okay. One of the things we also want to do is give you good points of specific information, scientifically proven. And we're going to put that up on the board in the description so you can follow up on that. A little wisdom and experience goes a long way. Do we have a disclaimer? Yeah, you're not a doctor. And neither are you, Bob. So that's a very important point. As caregivers, we run into this all the time. We follow the doctor's instruction. But we also give people the information that it's our responsibility. Yes, it is. It's our responsibility to take care of ourselves, do the research, do the due diligence, and this will help the doctors take better care of us. Okay, by taking this responsibility and doing our own research, many of these choices out there, and there are a lot of choices, alternative medicine helps direct medicine. And tonight with butternut squash food, we're going to have natural, organic food in the equation. Oh, what? A shout out to all the caregivers. We want to thank them. Yes, we know that you caregivers love food, shows, and you have to cook for your clients all the time. And you're a good cook. Thank you, Bob. I am. I love to cook veggies, except squash. No, we're having butternut squash tonight. We know that you like to entertain your clients and you like to cook for them. So we're going to give you the benefits right now of butternut squash. And then at the end of the night, we're going to have a taste test. What? Does butternut squash help dementia? Well, Bob, like anything we're discussing today, we can't claim anything helps dementia. Huh? Dementia. Huh? I know what you heard I said. Dementia. But it's a proven scientific fact that exercise, water, natural alternative things to slow down the process, such as good food and less chemicals, all have proven facts of slowing dementia down or possibly even preventing it. This is scientifically recognized, and I want to move on to butternut squash. Yeah, listen to this. Butternut squash has so many benefits, including digestive health. Ooh! Butternut squash is high in fiber, which can help you digest and reduce constipation. Oh, that sounds good. It is good. Mr. Depends Man. Hey, that's too TMI, too much information. Butternut squash contains a lot of vitamin C, which helps the body produce blood cells that defend against pathogens like viruses and bacteria. It also increases bone density. I don't like the bacteria. No, that's how we get sick, is too much bacteria in our system. Butternut squash is also a great source of potassium, which can improve bone density, and it's good for eye health. Eye health? Yes. I see. That could help me. Good one, Bob. You see. But I also want to point out that butternut squash has beta-carotene. It converts vitamin A into key components for protein in the retina, again helping the eyes. I like this one. Another reason why butternut squash. You can read it. Blood pressure. Yeah, blood pressure. It helps lower and reduce blood pressure. Butternut squash. Who knew? Butternut squash is high in potassium, which can help regulate this blood pressure. It manages the blood and reduces the risk of stroke and heart disease. Ooh, I like that. Absolutely. Butternut squash contains vitamin C, which we mentioned, also vitamin E to protect the skin from UV rays and chronic diseases. Wow! It's all that? All that in butternut squash. Continue! Butternut squash contains fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. All these may help prevent chronic disease and dementia. Butternut squash is also low in calories and fat. It contains 1.8 grams of protein per serving, and dried roasted squash seeds are also good for protein. Seeds? I don't know. I like gummies. No, Bob. No gummies for you. You know I never give you those. I know, but I want them. Gummies for dummies ain't happening on this show. Butternut squash also contains a considerable amount of fiber. We can keep you happy, healthy, and a regulated weight for regular bowel movements. There it is again. I know as a caregiver, this is extremely important. I actually want to share a personal story here. Oh no, I know you've heard this story before, but it's true. I like it. Okay, so as a caregiver, after my training, I always had the fear as a caregiver. The one thing I don't want to deal with is poodoo. It's a fact. So in my last 5 years of part-time caregiving, I only had to deal with it once on a serious note, thanks to Depends. Yeah, commercial? Not yet. But in this scenario, on my very first day, when I said, God, I love caregiving, I can do this, but I don't know if I can do the poodoo. A fact. My very first day, I went to my house, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I knocked on the door, and they opened the door, and she said, oh, please, hurry, come on in. My dad's been taking chemotherapy. He's been so constipated, and he just blew up the bedroom. Oh, not the thing you want to hear as a caregiver, especially on your first day of work. So I went in, I did my job, I cleaned everything up, I loved him, I gave him a hug, took him out, cooked him breakfast. Yes, I did. Made him breakfast, shared with the family, and had a really good day. The next day they called me and said, don't go in. He passed. Wow. I know. But it taught me the lesson and importance of constipation on the first day. And I've seen this in so many times with my clients. Everybody takes lots of stool softeners. I'm not going to argue with stool softeners. They're needed sometime. But if we would eat more proper diuretic foods, which give us more liquid, more water, healthier for the body, and knowing foods that help in the digestive system, we can make things easier on the doctor, on the nurses, and the caregivers. And me. Yes, and you too. Constipation is no fun. Just another benefit of butternut squash and a personal story from Al. Thank you. You're welcome, Bob. 87%. I said it was a diuretic. 87% water. That's what makes up a butternut squash. 87% water. And most of the people, 24% the statistics say in this editorial, 24% of the people are dehydrated. That's right, dehydrated. And we all know that lots of things not good happen when you're dehydrated. So, history. I see it. That's right. The butternut squash goes back over 5,000 years. It's believed to be one of the first squashes that originated in the Americas. The Incas were doing them in the 1500s. That's amazing. So, there are stories of gigantic squash out there and genetically huge squash. Today our butternut squash is about that size. And this was actually growing on Pigeon River Farm, an organic natural farmer right here in Wisconsin, close to us, that we use for our food. Pigeon River Farm is going to be a guest, Bob Brown, a guest on this show often. I like him. I do too, Bob. He's very knowledgeable. He spent the last 25 years on an organic farm, and he knows a lot about soil and what goes into that soil that affects the squash. Remember at the beginning of the show, we said we were going to talk about the benefits of butternut squash, and we were going to talk about what affects that squash. Soil, chemicals, thoughts. So in that story of genetically huge squash, which I've heard and always wanted to believe in, I did some research and due diligence for us. And in my research, I found this to be true. In 1995, David Rowan, a history professor of the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, hey, that's close to us. Yes, it is. Stevens Point is right up the road. Dr. David Rowan was given seeds from some very elderly gardeners from the Miami Nation, First Nation of the Indians, Miami Nation. Dr. Ron planted these seeds and grew several squash that weighed, what? Did I read that right? 30 pounds? If that 30 pounder would have just fell, it would have crushed my leg. Yeah, Bob, 30 pounds is a lot bigger than our butternut squash. So that really came from the seeds of long ago. Wow. Well, why don't they grow that big now? Well, that's what we're going to listen to Bob Brown in Pigeon River Farm. The soil conservation makes a big difference. So do all the pesticides and everything. And I'm not going to get into an argument to pesticide or use chemicals or not. I'm just going to say that it's a proven fact that the natural farms really have benefit. I know a joke. Right now? Yeah. What's the definition of a vegetarian from First Nation Indians? I don't know. Old, poor, slow hunter. Bob, I don't know if that's funny. I like my vegetables. Okay. Another thing that's exciting, and we learned this from the Indians, is called the Three Sisters. And squash is a big part of that. And butternut squash fits right in. In fact, in your organic garden, you do it. Yes, I do. You plant the corn, and then you plant the beans, and then you plant the squash, all in the same hill. So the corn stalk grows to the sky. The squash cover the ground and keep the weeds away. And the beans grow up the corn stalk. So you get all three plants in one localized area. Save space, and they all three serve each other. Three sisters. Love it. So at this time, I think it's a good way to introduce Pigeon River Farms, since we're talking about seeds and planting, and we already know the benefits of butternut squash, but let's talk about the soil. Plants are systemic. What they take from the soil, nutrition-wise, vitamin-wise, mineral-wise, that goes right into the food that they harvest, and it goes into our system. And it's a proven fact how you can take what's in the soil, and when the body eats it, and they do bone marrow and they do genetic testing, you can tell what our ancestors ate. So it's a powerful thing how the chemicals in the food can come from the ground. So Bob's going to talk about that. Pigeon River Farm, hosted by Robert Brown. He's going to talk about the focus on the vine crops, like the winter squash and butternut squash, and their nutrient value. All the vine crops in general, but butternut squash is right there in the vine squash. He's going to talk about the toxic diseases that can come from your localized soil and what boosters and toxin carriers can be in the soil, that quality. He's going to give you tips for growing. Ooh, good. He's going to recommend organic farming and controlled environments like high tunnels and everything to give you optimum health from your small organic garden. You can do that. We want to help. Great. The bottom line is always buy from your local organic small farmer. Yes, I like supporting our organic local farmers and the benefits of the butternut squash organically right into my tummy. Butternut, I think I'm getting hungry. Well, you want to try a little taste? I do. We're going to have that coming up. We're going to have a little taste test of some squash I made, and we're going to see if it's good. Okay, I'm ready. Before that, though, Bob, I want you to read this in our editorial. I can't. No, go ahead, read it. I can't read it. Why, are the words too big? Yeah. Well, these are some of the things that are in your gummies. Gummies for Dummies. I'll help you. Monosodium glutamate and everything else I'm about to read off are common food additives that enhance the flavor and also the shelf life. But do we really need them at the excess levels they put them in our food? Monosodium glutamate. Ugh. I still can't read it. I'll give it a go, Bob. Monosodium glutamate, sodium sulfate, high fructose corn syrup, emulsifiers, potassium bromine, trans fat, artificial food coverings of every kind, and always, always, always extra salt, extra sugar. Overdoing the salt and sugar. Obesity. That's right. Obesity's on the rampage from adding these food additives. So I guess we could say that food isn't food anymore. Yeah, that's right. Food isn't really food anymore when you purchase it from the store. It becomes the frightening world of food fillers. And I'm going to give you a website to go to because we could talk all day on food fillers. Let's not and say we did. I agree, Bob. Let's not and say we did. Too many food fillers today. I want you to go to, and I'll put it in the description, to healthcare management. The frightening world of food fillers, healthcare management. This is going to keep you in touch with a simpler way. So to sum it up, we want you to do more natural, organic, and simple foods, easy to digest. Yeah, less constipation. That's a mouthful. Packed full of minerals and vitamins for food source. If you can't spell the name or pronounce it, it's probably not as good for you as it should be. Yeah, and did you ever wonder why the food stores have a health section? If you go to the health section, what does that say about the other food? Good point, Bob. So, keep checking on yourself, check your pulse, do your own research, do your own due diligence. It's not about how long you live. It's about the quality of life you live. And anti-aging is up to you. So it's called the Healthcare Management Site. You can go there. Last but not least, I'd like to talk about the power of your thoughts and how they affect what's in front of us, how they affect the foods in front of us, how they affect the people around us. Like when we were arguing in the beginning, that's no fun. No, lower energy. Very much so. So we affect each other. Our ancestors knew this, and they literally had all the therapy you could manage by being outside in nature all the time. And remember, exercise, sunlight, nature, fresh air, walks, swimming, bicycling. The more active you are, the greater chances are of preventing dementia. So, we always plant our garden, and what do? Well, we pray. Yeah, we pray over the seeds. Good positive energy, no matter what denomination or religion you are. I talk to my seeds. I know it sounds funny, but it's therapy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Bob. I guess I can say it this way, Bob. Okay. What you ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. We have that power within us. It's called love. Caregivers know this. They know the effect on their clients. Moms know this. Dads know this. Teachers know this with their students. Football players even know it in the momentum of their game. Energy and words and thought affect everything around us. So I'm making this point so you understand how our energy and thoughts go into our food. And I've got some research on this too. This comes from Carl Jung. In his essays and all of his research, which is quite profound and very well respected, his description and teaching of the psychology and thought form that we share is actually a form of spirituality. He said that there are numerous times when you look at something and you have an effect on it. Now, some people call this mysticism. That's what you are. I am a mystic, a nutritionist and a mystic, and I love scientific fact. This is the age with Google and the internet and all of the history of food and thought. You can find any information at the tip of a finger if you do your due diligence. And it's now a proven fact that quantum theory states what you look at is affected by the person looking at it. So to go on in his quantum theories and his quantum physics analogy, Carl Jung basically said, and Einstein verified this, and then I'm going to turn you on to someone very powerful today with Dr. Amato. You cannot look at something subjectively, you cannot look at something objectively with your subjective thoughts without affecting it. And that's what quantum theory says. We affect what we look at. Now I'm going to take it one step further, proven by Dr. Amato. Years of research in the last 20 years. If you don't know Dr. Amato, we're going to give you the, can we put it up on the screen? Let's put a picture of Dr. Amato up on the screen and his book, and I think it's that important. Yeah, you read it to me, and I liked it. I did. I read it to all my clients. Dr. Amato states, and he has the research to prove it, the hidden of message water. The hidden of messages in water. And basically, he took under a black microscope, he took pictures frozen in time of water molecules. So the water molecule would be flash frozen under a black microscope, the most powerful microscope in the world, and it would change forms via the consciousness of the viewer looking in the microscope. Whoa, that's right. Is that a reminder? In other words, when we look at something under a microscope, it's different every time somebody else looks at it. We are a reflection of our own thoughts, and that power goes into the food. I know. Take 5 seconds to look at Dr. Amato right now and a little meditational song. And then we're going to have grace and eat the power of our words and thought. Welcome back. Let's eat. Yeah, Bob, it's almost time to eat. We hope you read that book. As a caregiver, read it with your clients and share, and everybody else enjoy it as well. Hidden Messages in Water by Dr. Amato. Okay. I think it's time to say grace, Bob. Let me grab... Let's eat. That's grace. No, Bob. We're going to do more grace. And I'm a poet. I love writing poetry. All my clients know that. And I'm going to read grace. Bob, would you read it with me? Sure. Okay. And then, after grace, we got a little teaser right here. I'm going to tell you how I made this squash, and then you'll be able to Google. There's lots of great recipes for butternut squash. But I'm going to give you one of my favorites because it's quick and easy, and it's good hot or cold. Are you ready for grace, Bob? Hello, Grace. It's supper time. Would you ponder the possibilities with me? Would you eat a strawberry or a butternut squash with me and let the juice illuminate and squirt down the side of your face? Would you allow me to wipe it clean with the hands of grace? Would you ponder the possibilities with me and dance under a full moon, under a tree, while sanctifying and creating sacred space? Would you laugh with me, cry with me, and keep up our spiritual pace? Would you hug a tree with me and let a butterfly fly by into our space? Loving it with me beyond the caterpillar race of the past that has no trace. For today, we hold each other spiritually accountable so we never lose faith. That's right. I promise to love you and dissolve the illusions of the matrix into reality. No more debates. That's right. Go beyond duality, for we are the eternal now, and I am that I am. Be still and know that I am. I've made my case. May you ponder the possibilities of you and I together, all of us, we. Grace. Now it is time to eat. Okay, I'm going to put this right here. Is that good? I did butternut squash. I boiled it up a little bit. I did some maple syrup. I did some salt and pepper. I did some, from my garden, some organic and basil, dried. And then I did a little, celery leaf and cinnamon to just throw it off. It's really good. Okay, so today in closing, I want to say, I want to say that we gave you some information on the quality of butternut squash in your life. We gave you some information on how to be aware of the soil and the soil conversation in life and how it affects your garden and everything you eat. We gave you some information on the power of your thoughts and how it affects food. Hey! What, Bob? I want some. Okay. I guess I'm sorry about that. So we gave you all those things, and we hope you've enjoyed the show. Whoa, Bob. I love butternut squash. The benefits of butternut squash from the Bob and Al Anti-Aging Show. Passion, purpose, and great information. Have a good day.